Okay, legends, welcome back to the channel with another Overlord, Lord of Nazarick video. Now we have Cocytus and Sebas that came into banners in the game with the double banner that we have, and we're gonna go and talk about them and are they worth summoning or not. So here we go, and their Archlights are also here, so you can pick their Archlights if you don't have. Now I highly recommend, I will talk about what to do or what unit to go for, and I'll explain my logic why. So first of all, we have Sebas and we have Cocytus. Cocytus, absolutely, we're gonna talk about him in this video. Absolutely a great unit. A starter unit will help a lot in PvE content, more than in PvP. In PvP, you can use him. He works perfectly, and people might not understand this, and I will explain it why. He works perfectly with a lockdown control team. So if there's a team that you have that does a lot of CC, stuns, taunts and stuff like that, he absolutely dominates there because of his leader skill. If you're playing his leader skill is one of the best leader skills in the game. Now, other than that, he has a high HP and defense, so he's a surviving unit. He can tank a lot, and magical damage is the one that is bad for him, and he's one of the slowest characters. If you max him out, his speed was it's at 157. I think him and 8th and Lupus Regina goes and get it to 157. I think they are the worst units in speed in the game. Let me check if Lupus is actually worse than him. So if we're gonna go and check the speeds, Lupus, here we go. If we're gonna max their speed, yes, they are the worst 3 units in the game. Lupus, as speed, only as speed. I'm not talking that they're the worst. Lupus and 8th and Cocytus. They are the worst units in speed, which you don't care about speed that much if you're playing a stun team. This is why his speed doesn't matter, because he benefit in defense and HP, and he's a surviving unit. Why he's good in stun team? Because his leader skill, while alive in battle, there's a 75% chance to inflict 1 stack of bleed on the primary target for 2 rounds after allies use a skill. So whatever skill you use, your first skill, your second skill, or your ultimate, you're gonna use that. And this effect, it does not work with passive. So chase does not affect that. Assist or counter do not help you with that. The effect can trigger up to 2 times per round, so every round you can do it 2 times. The cool thing about bleed, it can stack up to 10 times, and it deals 25% of his damage, which is absolutely nice as a leader skill. So if you're stunning the team, they're not doing anything, and you're continuously attacking them, you're gonna put a lot of bleed on them, and then kill them by time, damage over time. Now, the downside is that when you cleanse, this is a buff or a debuff that you can cleanse. If you can cleanse it from your enemy team, absolutely, you're not deal a lot of damage. His main impact, his attacking is high and his damages are high. His second skill is high damage, we're gonna talk about it. And his ultimate is also a high damage AoE, we're gonna talk about it. But the cool thing, or the bad thing about him, if you wanna play him in PvP, that if you cleanse your units from bleed, he will not be benefiting from that, and you will actually remove one of his basic attributes or one of his basic skills, which is damage over time. Now, his passive skill, which is a nice passive skill, so hitting grants 55% basic chance to inflict 1 stack of bleed on the targets for 2 rounds. And with advantage, if you get him to the 5-star, he will have an advantage that he will immediately at the start of the battle inflict 2 extra stacks of bleed on the enemy with the highest attack for 2 rounds. Immediately you start the battle with them having bleed. This is at 5-star, which is really great. Now, on level 2, you're gonna get an advantage and inflicts bleed on all enemies for 2 rounds. So you start the battle, you have him at level 2, everybody has 2 stacks of bleed, and at 5 stars, you get extra stacks of bleed, 2 of them. So you start on 4 with the highest attacking unit, so you can eliminate your threat or the highest attacking unit at the start of the battle, and you're gonna go and damage them over time every round, which is great. Now, you're gonna go to level 4, hitting grants 85%. This is at level 4, chance to inflict bleed on the target, which is great. And at level 5, it has 100% chance and nullify the target ER, which is great. Now, nullifying the target ER, it means they cannot do anything. And this is what's the basic great thing about him. You use your ultimate, you nullify the ER on the target, which is great. And it's on the target for 2 rounds. It means it doesn't say on the main target. It doesn't say on one target, on the target that gets the bleed. So 100%, you build him on EP, you start the battle, you use your ultimate, everybody gets 0 ER, effect resistance. It means if you're playing a stun team, you can go and land the stuns 100%, their ER, whatever they build them on, cannot dodge that. So this is why he's great on control teams, not only on debuff team, which is absolutely fantastic. Taunt worked perfectly, silence worked perfectly, and stuns work perfectly if you hit them with that. So his level 5 on his passive is the most important one for you if you want to play him in PvP. On PvE, you can stun the enemies with that. Absolutely a great passive. Now, his first skill, everything about him does bleed because of his passive. So his first skill does also bleed, and it will deal 100% of his attack and goes up to 120%. Now, the third level or the fourth level, when you increase it to level 4, it deals damage equal to 115% of attack and gains 70% a chance to inflict ER down on the target. So even if you don't have it at level 5, the passive, so you inflict ER down or remove the ER, you're gonna do it with your level 4 on his first skill, which is great. A debuff that decreases ER by 45%, which is absolutely nice. It's a 70% chance, which is very high chance. If you have him built on EP, this will be great actually, because it's a basic chance that is inflicted or is affected by EP and ER. So the higher ER that you have, the less they're gonna get the chance. The lower that ER that you have, you're gonna get ER down more, and now you will have a deficit of ER. So if you have ER at 45% and he hit you and land this, you're gonna get 0 ER. It means whatever debuff you take or stun or any control, it will land on you. This is why he's a great unit with playing with control teams. This is what my friend was playing with the Aura team, the Aura, Ego Aura, the one with the stuns. Absolutely inflicting shock because the ER down with the ultimate, and does it for the entire team, and he goes and stuns everybody. Now his second skill, one of the highest damage dealing skills as a single target in the game. This damage equal to 130% of attack. This is only without leveling anything. Hitting grants 100% basic chance to inflict a bleed. Deals extra damage equal to 40% of attack to the target that has bleed. So if you have 10 stacks of bleed, it doesn't matter. If you have 1 stack, it doesn't matter. You're gonna do only 40% to the target, increasing 40%. So 170% with a single hit to the target that has bleed. So you can one shot with his second skill. This is why it's super good. Now, gains a 50% chance to reset the cooldown of this skill. So 50% chance that you can go and actually use it back to back all the time if you can be lucky and reduce the cooldown of this one. And not reduce the cooldown, reset the cooldown, because it's for 1 round and you can use it and do it to 0 round. It goes just like your first skill, which is great actually for him. This is one of the good mechanics of his skills. Now he goes and at level 4 deals damage equal to 157% plus the 40, it goes up to 50% if you have bleed, which makes him deal 206% of attack with a single target on a unit on level 4, which is huge actually. This is why we talk about his second skill, which is absolutely nice, especially if you're gonna go and fight bossing. Increases the chance of each stack of bleed by 5%. So increases the chance of each stack. It means every time you have more bleed on him, you have a chance to apply more bleed, so it will keep him consistent on the lineup. His ultimate, which is great actually, it has a lot of debuffs. So it's an AoE ultimate, deals damage equal to 120% of attack. Hitting grants a 75% basic chance to inflict grievous wound. Now grievous wound is a debuff that increases bleed damage taken by 30%. So whatever he has, they have bleed, they're gonna take 25% of it as a damage if it's on them, even if it's 5 stacks, and it will increase it by 30%. Then it's 55%, which is great. Now on level 4, or if you have him at 4 stars, grant 50% basic chance to inflict grievous wound on enemies other than the primary target for 2 rounds. So 4 stars will allow him to do it on everybody, but a 50% chance. Now at level 6, it grants a 75% basic chance to inflict higher grievous tier, which is great because it goes up to 30%. I think the higher one, 30%, yes. Damage taken by 30% and reduces healing received by 50%. It means the healing from your enemies will be reduced. So you can counter healing with this one because he can inflict it not only on one enemy, but he can actually on primary enemy. So on one enemy he can do it actually. What is it? On enemies other than the primary. Okay, other than the primary. So he can do it on everybody else, which is great. Higher tier grievous wound or lower the healing by 50% as we read on there. Now on level 2, triggers the bleed effect on all targets upon dealing damage, while total stacks of bleed are on the characters are from the same faction are up to 10 stacks, are added to the number of stacks triggered on the primary target, which is great So you can, if you have them from the same faction and they have 10 stacks other than the primary target, you can go do it to everybody and everybody will have 10 stacks. Absolutely crazy. Now, again, everything here is dispellable. So if you're playing somebody like Lupus Regina, or if you're playing their Ego Mare, the healer, the new healer, absolutely could remove all of that and you can be happy dandy with your lineup. Now, increases the attack or the damage to 144. On top of the bleed, that would be absolutely something around 300% of damage every round that they will take if you can keep the 10 stacks of bleed. Hitting increases the chance of inflict grievous wound to 100%. It's a fixed chance. It's not anymore a base chance. It's 100%, so you can't counter it with ER or anything else. He will inflict it unless you have damage immunity or debuff immunity, which Mare, the new Mare, Ego Mare that we have, does that. He counters him specifically, he counters him greatly, and he will make him useless actually. So let's go and read his Archlight. His Archlight attack, it's called attack at the start. So increases damage dealt to the target by the target number of bleed times 3%. So whatever your targets has stacks of bleed, so you increase the damage. If you're hitting them for 100% of attack and they have 10 stacks, you do 3% times 10, which is 30% more damage, because you have 10 stacks of bleed. So absolutely nice for him to have it if you're gonna go full damage against the targets. If the target has grievous wound, additionally increase the damage by 10%, which is great actually. Everything about him is inflicting that debuff, so you need to stun the entire team. Do not let their healer go, so you need to focus their healer or their cleanser from their team, so you can absolutely have the privilege for that. And this increases to times 6, so you can go and do it by 6%, so 60% extra by the 10 stacks, which is absolutely insane. And the general effect is increased damage of the next skills dealt after the basic attack by 24% if you counter or do anything else like that. Absolutely a huge unit, very good in PvE, especially in PvE, the damage over time, because mainly in PvE you're gonna not see any cleansers, so he's gonna have the 10 stacks uptime every time. He's gonna do the grievous and the higher grievous wound, which is great actually, and you're gonna do a lot of damage with his bleed, and especially with his second skill, because it can reset. It have a 50%, which is a huge. This is for Cocytus, mainly the base teams that you want to play with, either debuff teams or the best, strictly best team with him is control team. So Knight Albedo will be great with him. Ego Shaltir or Ego Aura could be working with him. We don't have Ego Shaltir. Could be working with him really good. And if you have somebody also as a stunner, maybe Yuri could work with him, or anybody else that could save the lineup or give you more turn meter or allow you to go again, such as somebody like Pistonia, which will allow him to go back to back or more, because he doesn't have speed, but she can give him 100% turn meter, so he can go back to back and do his skills and reduce the cooldown of his skills. That was it for our Cocytus for his breakdown. Let me know if you built him. We specifically had him at the start of the game. You can pick him up and pick Mari or Aura or these characters. I would highly recommend here, if you didn't have any copy of Cocytus, at least get one copy. He will help you a lot. He's a very, very good unit. I have him at 4-star, so I don't want to build him more than that. The pivotal point for you is to get him to 4-star. Anything else, 5-star and 6-star will be very helpful, but 4-star is the pivotal point. If you have him at 4-star, you're safe. You will farm him later, or you're gonna get him by normal summoning on the other banners. And yeah, that was it for the video. I'll see you in the next one.